Welcome to NareshIT. I am Mr.Natraj. In this video, I am going to talk about different ways of registering JDBC drivers with DriveManager service. First of all, let us try to understand what is JDBC driver. JDBC driver is a software. JDBC driver is a bridge software between Java application and database software. It is useful to convert Java calls to database calls to Java calls. So, how we can use JDBC driver software in our Java application? Every JDBC driver software is identified with its driver class name. You just take that class name, create object and register with the DriveManager service. Okay. Happily you can start using the driver software in our Java application. What is this DriveManager service? In every Java application an inbuilt service will be there, that is DriveManager service. If your Java application wants to use any JDBC driver software, first of all that driver software must be registered with DriveManager service. For that what we should do? We should know the driver class name of driver software and it should be registered with DriveManager service. That means every JDBC driver software is identified with its driver class name. Create object for that driver class, register that object, keep that object with the DriveManager service. That is nothing but registration of JDBC driver with DriveManager service. So, JDBC driver software is collection of so many classes. How can we find out certain class is driver class? We can find out certain class as driver class by seeing whether that class is implementing java.sql.driver interface or not. So, JDBC driver class is a class that implements java.sql.driver interface. So, you know type 1 driver, type 1 driver class name is driver class name is sun.jdbc.odbc.jdbc odbc driver. So, you take Oracle thin driver. What is the driver class name? See, driver software contains so many classes, but in order to use driver software, there is no need of knowing multiple things. You just need to know only one class name, that is driver class, JDBC driver class. Oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle driver. Yes, sun.jdbc odbc is the package name. JDBC ODBC driver is the class that implements java.sql.driver interface. Oracle.jdbc driver is package name. Oracle driver is the class that implements java.sql.driver interface. There are multiple approaches to register JDBC driver with DriveManager software. No doubt in that. The basic code that is required to register JDBC driver with the DriveManager service is create driver class object and register that object with DriveManager service. So, for example, if I want to register Oracle thin driver, what is that? Oracle thin driver with DriveManager service. What is the code I have to write? What is the code I have to write? Let us assume this is my application 1.java. In this, first I have to create object of driver class, oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle driver. I am just taking name as driver, new oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle driver. Yes, then we have to take DriveManager.register driver of driver. This is the code that we need to write to register JDBC driver with driver manager service. Here what driver we registered? Thin driver. You know the type of mechanism and all these things. If you observe very carefully, in real time, no one writes these two lines of code. Everyone writes what? Only one code. What is that alternate code here? Class dot for name. Class dot for name. We just load the driver class, automatically driver will be registered with what? Driver manager service. What is that code we write? Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot Oracle driver. What's happening here? Sir, you are not creating object for driver class and you are not calling driver manage dot register driver method, but still you are saying what? Driver is registered. How it is possible? It's possible because the static block of driver class is having some magic code. Whatever code is there here to register driver with a driver manager service, that code is available in the static block of the driver class. Not only this driver class, in the market let us assume 30-40 plus JDBC driver softwares are there. In every JDBC driver software supply driver class, this static block is available. In that block, logic will be there to create a driver class object and to register that object with a driver manager service. To register that object with a driver manager service. If we can make that static block executing, automatically registration of the driver will be taken care by that static block. How can we make? We know that generally whenever JVM loads the class by using one or other class loader, static block of the class will be executed automatically. But how to make JVM to load the certain class? We can make JVM to load the certain class with the support of what? Class dot for name method. So the whole story goes like this. Class dot for name method takes this driver class, makes JVM to load the driver class through one or other class loader. Nice. In this process, static block of the driver class executes. In the static block, this kind of code will be there to register driver class object with driver manager service. Let me show how does that static block looks. Sample code let me show. Let us assume my class name is what? Oracle driver dot Java. Where it is available? OJDBC 6.jar. Okay. So how does it looks? Public class Oracle driver. Oracle driver implements what? Implements what? Java.sql.driver interface. Driver interface. What it will be maintaining? Static block. In the static block, what code will be there? Exactly these two lines of code will be there. Static block. Okay, now let us observe the flow of execution one more time. Let us find out the flow of execution one more time. In our application, we place class dot for name. Because of that, JVM takes the driver class and loads it. In that process, static block executes. In the static block, code is there to create a driver class object and to register that object with what? Driver manager service. Due to this, what happened? Driver is registered. Here credit should not be given to class dot for name. Credit should be given to static block of the what? Driver class. Everyone thinks that a class dot for name is doing magic kind of thing. Class dot for name is not doing any magic. It is just loading the driver class. In this process, static block is executing. The code that is there in the static block is doing the magic. So that means what is the best way? Because here we are just writing only one line of code. Na? That's why class dot for name is the best way to register driver with driver manager service. But sometimes interviewer may ask one question. Can you explain what are the different ways you know to register driver with a driver manager service? Or total how many ways are there to register driver with what? Driver manager service. That time if we say all the ways are waste, only class dot for name is the best. I will explain only class dot for name means it's not going to work out. Because interviewer has not asked what is the best way of what? Registering driver with driver manager service. He asked, tell me different ways of what? Registering driver with driver manager service. At that time if you say, no, always multiple ways are there but they are waste. Okay, I will explain only class dot for name means what? Interviewer may think that you are having attitude problem. What problem? Attitude problem. That's why. So we have to answer according to what? The question asked by the interviewer. So for that purpose, okay, I will explain nearly 9 to 10 approaches to register driver with what? Driver manager service. To register driver with what? Driver manager service. We will see advantage and disadvantage part of what? Each approach. Okay, then we will make definitely class dot for name as the winner, no doubt in that. At the end I even talk about what? Auto loading of driver class, which says, okay, there is no necessity of what? Even keeping class dot for name kind of thing. There is no necessity of even keeping what? Class dot for name kind of thing. But first of all, according to the question asked by the interviewer, we should explain what are the different ways to register the driver with what? Driver manager service. Then we will see why class dot for name is best and when we should go for what? Auto loading of driver class. All these things I am going to address in this particular video. So shall we start observing each approach one by one? Yes. So here I will take plan 1. What is plan 1? Plan 1 is our regular code. Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot driver. Driver is equal to new Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot Oracle driver. Sir, why are you writing package name always? It's quite standard here. Remaining packages we import and we write only class name. But when it comes to driver class name, we always specify along with the package name. It's quite industry standard. So from the beginning people are following this standard. That's why you observe what is type 1 driver class name. We never say JDBC ODBC driver. We always say what? Sun.JDBC dot ODBC dot JDBC ODBC driver. So similarly, Oracle thin driver class name, we always say Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot Oracle driver. What is the next line I should write? Driver manager dot register driver of driver. The same code can also be written something like this. Driver manager dot register driver. What is this? Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot Oracle driver. Both are one and same. Here I am just working with what? Anonymous object. What object here? Anonymous object. That means nameless object. Here I explicitly created object and passing object as a argument. Sir, it's a exact code you are writing, na? But there is a problem in this code. Please observe very carefully. There is a problem in this code. This code registers same JDBC driver twice with driver manager service. Yes, class dot for name is good, but you should know why others are bad. So what is the problem in this? This code registers same driver with driver manager service twice. Okay, same driver with driver manager service what? Twice. How can we say this? Listen, because of this line, definitely driver will be registered with the driver manager service once. But before creating this object at this line, JVM attempts to load the class. What here? JVM attempts to load the driver class. In this process, static block of the driver class executes. In the static block, already code is there to register the driver. So that means because of static block of driver class one time registered, since you are calling register driver method explicitly, okay, since you are calling what? Register driver method explicitly one more time, it is registering. So total how many times here? 2 times. Is there any need of registering same driver twice with what? Driver manager service? Really not there. That's what I am saying. Class.forName is good, but you should know why others are bad. So what is the problem in this code? It is registering same driver with what? Driver manager service twice. Let's go for what? Plan 2. Sir, in plan 1 you said that, you are registering twice. If I register one time, is it happy for you? Yes. So I will write the code like this. Let's see what is the code. Arakill.jdbc.arakill driver is equal to new arakill.jdbc.driver.arakill or let me create anonymous object. What is this? I'll just take this, paste it. Sir, in plan 1 you said that driver is registered twice with the driver manager service. That's why bad. But here I am registering only for one time because there is no driver manager or registered driver. Here register only for one time because of static block. How? Before creating object, definitely what? JVM tries to load the driver class. In this process, static block of driver class executes. Due to this, the driver will be registered with the driver manager service. How many times? One time. Why? There is no driver manager dot registered driver method call explicitly. Then what is the problem in this, sir? Because driver is registered only for one time, na? The problem in this approach is you are explicitly creating object for driver class. Whatever object I created for a driver class explicitly, that is wasted. Definitely wasted, because this object has become useless object anywhere. Whatever object that is created in the static block of driver class, definitely looking like a good object, no doubt in that. That is quite useful object, that is used as part of registration. But whatever object that is created explicitly, that object has been what? Wasted. That's why this is also not recommended. Let me give my plan 3. My plan 3 goes something like this. What is that? Class.forName. Sorry, let me go for another angle. I'll take a small application here, contest.java. Okay. Here I will take a class. I'll take a class con and test. What is this? Extends arakill.jdbc.driver.arakill driver. Here I will take main method, public static void main string args array, throws what? Exception. So here I'll just call connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection, end of the main method, end of the class. So how it is registering the driver? You know that whenever class is loaded, automatically super class will be loaded. Not only super class, all the classes of inheritance hierarchy will be loaded. Due to this, static block of current class will be executed, and all the classes that are there in the inheritance hierarchy also will be executed. That means in those classes, if any static blocks are there, they will be executed. What is the super class of our current class? Arakill driver. So whenever we run this application along with the contest class, even Arakill driver class also will be loaded or will not be loaded? Yes. In this process, static block of the driver class executes or not? Yes. Due to this, what happens? So definitely that static block registers the driver with driver manager service. What is the advantage part of it? Because of static block, what happens? The driver class, the driver is registered with the driver manager service only for one time. Moreover, there is no explicitly created object for what? Driver class. So that means driver is registered only for one time, and there is no explicitly created object for what? Driver class. That means it is solving the problem or not? Yes, solving the existing problem that is there in what? Plan 2. But it is creating a new problem. Problem number 1. We are going for inheritance means, okay, if you want to add extra behavior in the subclass by also inheriting the existing behavior or state of what? Superclass, you have to go for what? Inheritance. But the problem part here is, in the subclass there is no state, there is no meaning of going for what? Inheritance. Number 1. Number 2, our class is extending from driver class, fine. But if our class wants to extend from what? Other utility classes, problem will be raised or not? Definitely will be raised. Suppose my class wants to extend from thread class, then I cannot extend from what? Driver class. My class wants to extend from what? Servlet, HTTP Servlet, because as part of Servlet programming. My class wants to extend from frame class. My class wants to extend from applet class. That time it cannot extend from driver class. Or if the class is extending from driver class, we cannot extend from what? Those classes. Because you know that Java does not support what? Multiple inheritance through classes. Due to this, okay, this approach is also bad approach. Listen carefully. It is registering driver only for one time through static block. No explicitly created object for driver class. But without having any state in the subclass, okay, inheriting something from what? Superclass is meaningless. Number 1. Number 2, if we extend from what? Driver class, our application cannot extend from other utility classes like what? Frame, applet, this kind of thing. That's why this is also what? Bad approach. That's why this is also called what? Bad approach. Fine. Then what is the next approach, sir? Plan 4. Class dot for name. Class dot for name. Oracle dot JDBC dot driver dot, what is this? Oracle driver. We write this code where? Inside our application. Observe very carefully. Because of static block, driver is registered. How many times? One time. Is there any explicitly created object for driver class? No. So that means, and if we place this code in our regular class, our class need not to extend from any driver class, and our class is free to extend from what? Any other utility classes. Any other utility class like frame, applet, HTTP Servlet, any other utility class. No doubt in that. That's really nice. So that means it is addressing all our problems and solving all our problem. That's the reason this is the best way of what? Registering driver with driver manager service. Like this, like multiple other approaches are there. But they are not that much useful. Industry standard one is what? Class dot for name. So that's why we never bother about what? Other approaches. Okay. For knowledge sake, if you want, you can learn. But from JDBC 4 onwards, okay, which is given along with the JDK 1.6. So what is the advantage? You know, there is a feature called auto loading of driver class. That means there is no need in placing what? Class dot for name. Then how does it will register, sir? How does it will register? When we call driver manager dot get connection method, based on the URL we passed, the static block of the driver manager class, okay, contains the logic to go to the jar file, where driver software is available. Which one? OJDBC 6.jar, and searches for meta-services/java.sql.driver file. From there it will collect the driver class, loads it. Because of that loading, static block of driver class execute, and that static block will what? Register driver with the driver manager service. Observe very carefully. There are two static blocks. When we call driver manager dot get connection method, okay, in that process, driver manager class will be loaded by JVM. Their static block of the driver manager class executes. In that one, code is there to get the driver class from the jar file like OJDBC 6.jar, okay, and that driver class will be loaded. In this process, static block of the driver class executes. Due to this, driver will be registered with what? Driver manager service. That means JDBC 4 that comes with JDK 1.6. okay, there is no need of placing class dot for name, because it supports what here? Auto loading of driver class, and it can collect the driver class from where? jar file. Which jar file? The JDBC driver software jar file. Yes, other approaches also there here, like using class dot for name with command line arguments, using class dot for name with what? System properties, working with fixed system properties. All these things are not necessary. But if interviewer asks, okay, what are the different ways that are there to register driver with the driver manager service? Start explaining all the approaches, how many you can explain it, okay. But at the end you say class dot for name is the best, okay. Then if we talk about auto loading of driver class, then say from JDBC 4 onwards, we can even work with what? Auto loading of driver class. There is no need of registering driver with driver manager service. But in other video also I talked about this. Even though auto loading of driver class feature is there, it is not suggested to use that one every time or to enable that one every time. For example, type 1 driver you take, that is designed based on JDBC 2. It does not support auto loading of driver class. Then go for class dot for name. There will be some database software, still they are providing what? JDBC 3 based driver classes or JDBC 3 based driver software. They don't support auto loading of driver class. So I suggest you people to go for what? Class dot for name only. Or we moved our project toward production environment. In the production environment, somehow they are forced to work with JDBC 3, JDBC 2 or old driver softwares. In that situation, if we just enable auto loading of driver class, so application may not run in production environment. So by keeping all these things in mind, it is always suggested, even though auto loading of driver feature is there, by keeping different environments in mind, it is always suggested to write what? Class dot for name. Always suggest to write what? Class dot for name. The point I want to tell here is, we have to answer question as interviewer expects. But we cannot say there are multiple ways, but I don't know. Okay, I know only class dot for name is the best. Okay, I will explain only class dot for name means not going to work out. And moreover, in order to know what is the best way, we should know what is the bad practices also. So that's why learn all the ways of registering driver with what? Driver manager service. But try to make class dot for name or auto loading of driver class feature as what? Winner. By showing drawbacks of remaining approaches, by showing what? Advantages of class dot for name or auto loading of driver class. Because we have to know the best, but at the same time we have to know why it is best. That means there are some problem in other approaches. First know those problems in other approaches, because we cannot escape from interviewer question. Okay, so we have to give answer as expected by the interviewer. For example, there are two ways of developing thread. One is what? Extending from thread class. Other one is what? Implementing runnable interface. So we learn both, but we always give priority to what? Implementing thread runnable interface. That means here also we are learning both approaches or not. But we always say good is what? Runnable. Now if you say I don't learn extending from thread class, I don't know extend from class, I always use what? Implements runnable interface. Is it going to work out? One more example I will explain. There are three approaches to develop the servlet. Okay, take a class implementing servlet interface. Take a class extending from generic servlet class. Take a class extending from HTTP servlet class. So first two approaches are bad. Okay, but the third approach is what? Best. But to tell why third approach is best, we should know why. What is the problem in the first approach? What is the problem in the second approach? Definitely we should know it or not. Yes, definitely we should know it. So by keeping all these things in mind, my simple suggestion to every student, try to know multiple approaches. I just explained 2, 3, 4, 5 approaches. If other approaches also there, learn them. Try to know their limitations. Remember these disadvantages so that you can present class dot for name so effectively. So we are talking class dot for name is good, but in what way it has become good? Okay, in what way other things are bad? We have to explain or not. So if without knowing why they are bad, we cannot make what class dot for name is good. In this video, I want to talk something. I want to thank all the people who created Java, because they are really owners of Java. They are what? Great people. They are awesome people. So because of their dedication, commitment, and without expecting any fame, without expecting any revenue, creating this many technologies in Java, frameworks in Java, language itself creation, it's awesome. Okay, so in this video I would like to show the top 8 people of Java. This person is Craig McHellen, the creator of struts. He is Mark Fleury, the creator of what? JBoss. Kent Becker, the creator of JUnit and Agile methodology. Nowadays in the industry, Agile methodology is really doing well, and he is the creator of Agile methodology. He is the person, Mr. Gavin King, the creator of Hibernate. He is Mr. David Duncanson. So when we say a course called Advanced Java, so most of the time we use a Tomcat server. He is the person who created Tomcat server and a tool called Ant. And James Gosling, and he is the father of Java, is the ultimate person who has given thought called Java to the market. And he is Mr. Rod Johnson, the creator of what? Spring Framework. And Joshua Bloch, Indian breed, is the person who created collection frameworks in Java. He is the person who created collection framework in Java. So I would like to appreciate, I would like to thank, I would like to owe everything of mine to this top 8 people of Java, because they didn't expect any fame, they didn't expect any kind of revenue from the market. So they have just created Java language, Java technologies, Java frameworks, free and open source technologies. Okay, because of them only we are able to work on Java. Some people are able to teach Java, some people are able to develop applications on Java, some people are able to create new APIs, new tools based on Java, because of what? James Gosling and other team members who put their efforts. If anyone is God of Java, these people are God of Java. So if anyone owners of the Java, these people are owners of Java. If anyone, yes, should appreciate in Java, means yes, these people should be appreciated. If someone says, okay, my name is equal to what? Struts. My name is equal to what? Spring. My name is equal to what? Advanced Java. My name is equal to core Java. That simply shows they are having attitude problem. They are doing a lot of self-boasting, and they're simply meaningless. Why? Because the developer who develops the application, the trainer who trains people in Java, okay, the people who creates the API, if they say we are means Java, our organization means Java, okay, we are not their Java, not their means. What about these top 8 people who created Java really? They never expect any kind of what? Promotion. They never expect any kind of what? Revenue from the market. When compared to their commitment, their dedication and their sacrifices, and we are nothing. So that's why in this video, so definitely I would like to salute them from the bottom of my heart. Why? Because nowadays, after learning bit of Java, maybe 1%, 2% of Java, people started saying like, I'm king of Java, I'm god of Java. So all these are really should not be encouraged. Should not be encouraged. Why? Because everyone should be very faithful, and everyone should understand, should respect, okay, should bow our heads in front of what? Those people who have created Java and released it to the market as what? Open source technology or open source products. So I'm talking all these things after learning Java, after spending some time in Java, so we are forgetting. So that's why in this video I would like to even thank those people. I would like to salute them from the bottom of my heart. My simple conclusion is very simple. When interviewer asks the question, don't try to rotate his brain. He asked what question? How many ways you know to register JDBC driver? If you know 10 ways, tell that. If you know 5 ways, you tell that. If you know only 2 ways, you tell that. At the end you say, okay, this is the best way of registering driver. This is not a best way of registering driver. To tell something is best, you have to know what is worst or what is bad. So with that attitude, okay, we have to give a reply to interviewers. I hope you benefited with this video. Thank you.